Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Convos with Leaders. Our featured leader this week is Anderson Race, who is a minister at New Dimensions Ministries in Barbados. Anderson has been in church leadership for almost 2 decades, and in this week's episode, he shares some of the valuable lessons that he's learned along the way, including the fact that leadership has a way of bearing, uncovering, revealing us to ourselves. Stay tuned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So tell me about that picture then.
You getting deep, you getting very psychological, you getting in the back of my head now. You know, tell me draw a picture then. Tell me about your picture.
I'm getting you to use that creative bit of your brain so that you come out of the structured part and use that creative bit.
A leader is like foundational, leader has to uplift everybody, that's when they think about leader, they think about encouraging,
Mm-hmm.
One of the I feel like the one thing that we lack is encouragement. I mean,
Right.
everybody's just so quick to criticize, right?
Right, yeah.
Who is consistent in encouraging people, and they feel as though like a leader should just be encouraging. When I think about Jesus, who for me is like the best example of a leader. He was never sarcastic.
Yeah.
Jesus was never sarcastic. He was an encourager. He was an encourager. With Barnabas, encouragement. Barnabas compared to Paul with John Mark. How Paul was ready to write off John Mark.
Yeah.
And Barnabas was like, nah, fam, you can't operate like that. Or you look at look what God do for you, big man. And because of that, they split. I feel that the leader should be encouraged.
Yeah, I understand. So the leader, the person who is at the bottom, and they're really kind of holding up and uplifting people, encouraging them to go further, all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice. That is deep. So then I guess then that means for you, when you are thinking about yourself as a leader, that's the goal that you're working towards, like being an encourager for those who may be looking onto you and following you where you're going.
Yeah, but I got a place in my life now where I just won't become so like strict with the way that I use my tongue,
Yeah.
Never criticize, condemn, or complain. Like, that's what makes me want a place where there is no benefit in criticizing anybody. None.
Right. Yeah.
There's no benefit in condemning anybody. You don't get there from all of it. There's no benefit in complaining. I want to be a source of encouragement and comfort. Now, obviously, you still go, if you go rebuke somebody, you can still go, but I feel as though there's a much better way to do it than the way that we see.
Yeah.
Anybody can criticize, condemn, and complain.
Yeah.
The first thing that we think about when we think about rebuke is telling off somebody, basically. You point is like I'm pointing that finger type of thing, but like you could gently instruct somebody, correct somebody,
but
correcting, and if you have to be firm with somebody, you do it first in private. Don't do it in public spaces, right? Be firm with them, but do it in private and encourage the individual, and help the individual to see their way. There's no guarantee that the person is going to respond in the right way that they ought to, right? But at least let's start there. Don't even let me think about stage 2 yet. Let me think about starting there, right? Being able to pull somebody, because as we were discussing earlier, the goal is really to protect people's identity, people's self-concept. The way that our society is here in the Caribbean is that we go straight to the destruction of a person's self-concept. That's there are a lot of reasons for that, but our goal is to help to build people's identity, because we want them to become the best version of themselves.
But there's something that you said just now that also stood out to me, like when you were talking about, depending on how the person responds. But one of the things that I think about as well is to always expect. So if you're going to somebody for, to tell them something that they may not be doing that might be right, or is a growth area for them. Because it is a growth area, it might be an area of sensitivity. As a leader, I think one of the things that you should always expect, as well, as that people may not necessarily always receive it, but that's part of the process. That is part of the process, and allowing them space to actually have a response that is not perfect, because they're not perfect. So that is just so what you were saying just now just really stood out in my mind, because we need to allow people the space to kind of feel oh my God, somebody is telling me about a thing that I'm doing that isn't altogether correct. So yeah.
Right now, there's a situation I have to deal with in my sphere of leadership, and I chose, not even to speak to the person about the issue, and just, in essence, just to first and foremost deal with my own worry.
Right. Yes.
Our own worries and our own fears and concerns, right? So we're not really coming to the person with a pure and gentle spirit. We come to the person with our own issues and our own worries and fears about, suppose this person becomes bad, bad.
Right.
Something that we're thinking, save this person, but just be cool,
Yeah. And then the question that comes to my mind about that too is, like, if you're worrying, are you more concerned about you and the impact that it may be having on you, as opposed to concerned about the person? So because that's a question. Because if you're really thinking about the helping this person, then that's where your mind is. If there's a lot of worry, then there might be, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but then there's also that place of thinking about, where is this really coming from? Is this person really to the center of my thoughts, or are there other things about me that may be impacting the way that I am perceiving and want to deal with this particular situation?
Yeah, that's true. That's so very true.
So let's go on to one of our questions. So, what is one of the things that has surprised you most about leadership? And Anderson Racy, you have been in leadership for a while now, from the time you were at Fairy Valley Church and on the youth department, and you have been in a leadership position for a while. So, in all of this vast time, and you're not old, just in case anybody is thinking he's young man. What would you say has been one of the things that has surprised you most about being a leader?
You're asking some difficult questions. Contextualize the fact that the truth is that I have been in some form of church leadership, specifically from the time I was 18 years old.
Yes.
I'm about 18, so I'm 36 now, so that's like almost 20 years.
Yes.
Right? So like, what has stood out to me?
Or what has surprised you most? Yes.
Boy, I think honestly, I will go say darkness in my own heart, though. To be quite honest.
Yeah, tell me about this, Anderson Racy.
What is a leader?
Yeah.
Leadership is not really, as a leader, it is really not so much about the other people. It's kind of like it's twisted, but it's twisted in a good way. It's not so much about them, about you, right? A leader is supposed to influence at its core, right?
Yeah.
That's what defines leadership. The person that we go to, at its core is influence, right?
Yeah.
And our ability to influence or to repel is really based on us as a character, on our character.
Yeah.
So I think like for me in leadership, like I just feel like a place now where is about being the best version of myself, so I can really help people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because a person's being able to come and become the best version of themselves will be directly dependent on me becoming the best version of myself.
Yeah.
It's the law of the lid, right? So I must be constantly focusing on myself and coming to a place of, of betterment, I guess, so that I feel as though in leadership, well, especially in our context here in the Caribbean, that has been more an issue of, people that's lording over people.
Right.
As opposed to, being a person that can influence and encourage and help people become a better version of themselves.
So, yeah. Yeah, well, nice. What has been the most rewarding experience that you have had so far as a leader?
Well, seeing people really come into to themselves, and even in some instances seeing people grow past you,
Right. Yeah.
shoot past you, and that's going and do their thing. I guess that's what it's really about leadership, about you, somebody really coming into to their, I guess, destiny, if you want to use that word, coming to themselves and doing their thing. And I think that God said that's the most rewarding. Have seeing persons come to their own space, coming to their own selves, and
yeah. Nice. So then, when you think about the success that you've had as a leader, over the last 20 years, what would you say has really been the biggest contributor to your success?
I think that's an easy question, though. Personal development,
right?
Leaders and readers, like full
stop.
Like it has to be. You have to be like hungry to evolve, and like, only to deal with sitting down with one of my leaders, right? A leader who in business world, he was really talking about. He was just telling me about teachability. And what we need to learn and be coachable, and right now that's something that really like is very heavy on me. Being teachable and coachable, always being the most foolish one in the room. Personal development, boy. Every day you got to be giving yourself to personal development.
Talked about your success and what has been a contributor to your success. So if we flip that now, a question would be, what is a failure that you have experienced as a leader, and how did you overcome it?
I experienced a lot of failures. Failures in leadership usually revolve around just dealing with people and with people. And so I've had many of those, plenty of those. I think the most important thing is just, being humble enough to, when something goes wrong, admit your own fault, admit that you're wrong, and move on. Ask for forgiveness. Right?
So give us an example. Don't just leave us there with thing. Give us an example. You don't got to call names or anything like that, but just an example of a failure you've had with people or with a person that and you.
Well, I had so many failures.
Oh Lord.
And you want one? I mean, for example, I can give you that I realized about myself was that, and this is something I realized over years ago or whatever, that I would talk about people in their presence.
Right.
That's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah. Because whatever you're saying about a person behind their back, say it to their face. If you have an issue with somebody, go and address the issue with the person. So like, I've had to apologize many times for that. Many times. I try not to avoid that at all costs. At all costs. Again, condemning, criticizing, and complaining, and doing it. Right. I don't want to be wrong people that doing it. Right? I ain't dealing with it. I mean, that's one. I mean, there are hundreds. I remember I had an incident. Yeah, boy. I had an incident with a guy, and basically he just had some. It brought down. And we came to very high words. But then when they catch myself again, I went back and apologize. I think it's about being humble enough to go and say that you're sorry and you're wrong.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The person who says that their story is the person who wins, whether the person is really wrong or not. Because the goal is not to be right. The goal is to maintain a relationship.
Yeah.
The goal in life is to be right.
Yeah. I love that. The goal isn't to be right, it's about maintaining a relationship. I like that. Actually, when you were talking, especially when you were talking about the first one about like talking about persons, one of the things that came to my mind is the whole thought of avoidance, because I think sometimes what happens in leadership is you may be faced with a difficult situation or maybe a difficult behavior coming from a person, and within yourself you may not be equipped or you may not have the strength, the courage, maybe the skill set to deal with that, and you're frustrated about it. So sometimes it's easier, rather than to avoid the situation or having to actually handle it, sometimes it's just easier to kind of get off all your frustrations or whatever by talking about the situation. But it doesn't change, it still is there. So it really takes strength and that whole realization and humility and all these things you were talking about to recognize not only is this wrong, because it is impacting this person. I'm talking about this situation, talking about this person, but also if I am not strong enough to talk to this person about this situation, then I ain't strong enough to deal with it, period. And I probably shouldn't be saying anything about it.
That's deep. I like that.
Thank you for being so open and vulnerable as we discuss this. Thank you for your examples. Kind of spoke about this next question that I'm going to before, so you can tell me if it was covered in what you spoke about or if there's something else. So the question is, what is the most instrumental development activity that you've done so far for yourself? And I know you were talking about self-development as like a really important thing for you, and especially from the perspective of reading books. So does that answer still stand, or is there something else that when you think about your own personal development journey that you've taken so far, is there anything else that you think has been really, really instrumental in your development?
Reading is I would say reading is the foundation.
Yeah.
And also just being willing to invest in yourself. So going to conferences and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because at each and every conference you can find a defining moment.
Right.
So putting yourself in a personal development space.
Yeah.
And I would say that the thing that I have done that has been most impactful is actually the willingness to take money and spend on myself for my personal development.
Right.
I see that as really important.
Right.
We look at all the greatest leaders in the world, right? The guys who are having the most impact, who have the most influence, this is what they do. All leaders are readers. And the more you read, the more successful you become as a leader, or whatever capacity you are.
Yeah.
We could talk about Warren Buffett.
Right.
Warren Buffett is read for a minimum of 6 hours a day.
Wow.
I had a point where I was actually telling myself, I understand, but if you really believe this thing, if you really got faith, we're talking about faith, you just put everything and just give yourself to read it. There's something about reading, right? I think there's something about reading, right? That, and I heard somebody say it recently on something I was listening to in my car, but the knowledge gained from reading is different to knowledge gained from hearing things or from listening to whatever. Reading is powerful, right? But that has to be the foundation. But then the willingness to take money and to spend on yourself to go and engage in personal development. Yeah.
And that is so important because, and I guess maybe it could be the way that we are built as human beings. When we think about taking care of others, we always think, and when we think about where money should be spent, especially if you're thinking about family or you're in a leadership position, you might be always thinking about those who you're leading, those who you're taking care of. You're thinking about others and not always necessarily thinking about, but if I really want to have an impact with them, I really got to spend some time on me. I need to do some investment on me.
Yeah. Anybody who spends a minimum of 1 hour a day reading, just 1 hour a day, will change your life.
Nice. Reading is key.
personal development.
Yeah, I would say, and because I know that there are people who might not be necessarily into reading per se, so they might prefer to listen or they might prefer to watch. But I think the point that you're also making is you need to expose yourself to the knowledge that is out there. Oh, we are coming down. We're at the last question. So when you think about the stage that you're at now in terms of your life and your career and even your leadership journey, what would you say would most support your continued career, your continued growth in your career and in your leadership journey?
What would most support it?
Yeah.
What would enable it? And how to get to the next level?
To get to the next. You can tell me more, Rita?
Yeah, boy. Let's talk about it. It is, the extent, because it's all about you're changing your mindset, and, being focused on changing the way you think, and the extent to which you focus on that and you expand your mind, right, will be the extent to which you will achieve success.
Yeah.
So I be honest with you, a place where I was even thinking about, that's even shutting down TV altogether. No, I actually do like TV, right? I watch a lot of TV, right? I don't watch a lot of TV. When I think about it, I don't watch a lot of TV. I put channels in my house because I just like the idea of having the option of flicking through channels.
Yeah.
I don't get to watch. I don't get to look at the TV, right? But I mean, like, right now, I would say, like, last couple of months, I probably would watch like less than 1 hour of TV a night.
Right. Yeah.
But a place where I'm thinking about, I would just know everything, cut out all distractions, and that's when the season of that's like really going deep into like personal development.
So when you're talking about personal development, what kind of activities are we talking? So I know you're talking about reading and listening, but what other types of activities would you be talking about in terms of personal development?
That is it. That is it. Those two
things. Yeah.
Where I could be inspired and encouraged. You know the word education. What the word education means? It comes from a Greek word, ajuko.
Really?
Right? It means to be inspired.
Really?
That's what education really is. An educated person is not somebody who has degrees necessarily. It's somebody who's inspired.
Wow. And I can see that, because when I think about the areas in my own development, my own profession, my own whatever that I go deep in, they're the areas that inspire me. So those are always the areas that I educate myself on, that I could photo a whole bunch of things on, because it is, like you said, inspirational. So nice.
Inspiration from those areas,
yeah.
Because there are things that I really want to accomplish in life, that are very, very dear to my heart. But I know my ability to see those things become realities, right?
Yeah.
Will be dependent on the extent to which I develop my mind and my heart in order to receive those things.
Nice. That's so true. The way that you develop your mind and your heart to receive them. Yeah. I like that. Well, that was my last official question. So, officially, thank you very much. This conversation was excellent. This was an inspiring conversation. This was education right here. So, so this was great. So, and hopefully those who were able to listen in would also be inspired themselves to educate themselves, and to go on that journey, to go further in their leadership journey. So And
the one thing that I would like to leave with individuals is, one thing you want to resist, this is just an encouragement, is wherever you are on your journey, right? Just be patient with the process,
Right.
Because I don't feel like the human heart is infinite. It's infinite. Human needs are infinite. One of the first things they teach you in economics, right, is that human need is infinite.
Right.
Humans can never be satisfied.
Yeah.
So don't be too hard on yourself in your journey wherever you are. and whoever you see, let's engage the process and be patient. You know?
Yeah.
Patient. And I was reading that from Bill this morning in one of Bill's Bill Hammond. You know, the one who is patient will receive the promise. It's about being patient.
Yeah.